Hello and welcome to lesson number 4 in our month of Mediumship Challenge. I am Sterling Moon, your guide through this month's set of exercises, and I'm so happy to have you here for, goodness, we're about at the halfway mark, aren't we? So today's lesson is really a bit more of a pep talk than anything else. So in our next lesson, we are going to be talking more specifically about spirit communication fundamentals. And you've already been practicing some of the most important parts. You've been practicing getting to neutral, discernment, grounding, starting to notice what's around you, noticing when things come in. And we're going to continue to build on that and be a little bit more proactive in instigating conversations with spirits. However, one of the things that I wanted to address before we did that was just how damn hard sometimes this work can be, and some of the emotions and the feelings and the self-doubt, and sometimes just the flat-out traumas that can get drug up as a result of engaging in this type of work. So there's two groups of you in particular that I'm going to be speaking to today, and there's probably some overlap amongst you. So I've definitely noticed that there are some folks doing this challenge that came to this challenge because you have gifts, you have abilities, or you suspect you have gifts and you have abilities, and you probably do. And you're hoping that the exercises that we are working on will help you have a little bit more control in what's already happening in your life. And then there's also another camp of you that is experiencing like spirit activity, paranormal activity, whatever you want to call it, in your home. And so I just want to acknowledge some of the things that I know are hard for folks in either group. So for those of you who came to this challenge hoping to have more tools to learn how to have more control and sovereignty and ownership over your abilities, first of all, I just want you to know, I see you. You know, our society labels people in very ugly ways when, for those of us who are able to perceive things that not everybody is able to. There are sometimes some very ugly labels that I'm not going to state here that get applied to us. And I always encourage, this is definitely a process I went through myself. I encourage all of us who suspect that we're having these experiences to try to rule out the mundane. Make sure that our mental and physical health is okay. Make sure that there are no noxious gases being released in our home that could cause some of the perceptions that we are experiencing. Making sure that there's no electrical problems in our house that could, maybe explain the weird flickering lights and things like that are happening. But the reality is that for most of you who are here, you've probably done all that, or you will do that, and you will still find that you are having experiences that seem to be spirits that are interacting with you. And it causes you to question, am I okay? Is this really happening? Are people going to believe me? Are people going to think that I am just making this up? There's a lot of self-doubt, and there's just a lot of self-esteem and almost self-worth things that kind of come into play when you start realizing, I think this is what I'm experiencing. Because let's be honest, these are not gifts that are necessarily embraced by everyone. You are embraced here. I see you. And, again, go through the mundane, go through that checklist and make sure that what you are experiencing cannot be, explained by something mundane. Most likely, though, you are experiencing exactly what you think you are. And so I know that it can be incredibly lonely. I know that it can be lonely, it can be isolating, and it can be confusing. And so I wanted to take a little time today to just say that I'm glad that you are here. And there are communities out there where you can feel held and supported and all of that. So the other folks that I want to speak to are just the folks that are having spirit activity in their homes or a space that they frequent currently. And I just, even though I have a very lighthearted approach to, just knowing that there's always spirits around, many of us live in haunted spaces, and just some of us are able to actually tell that that's what's going on. However, I have been working on this, managing my gifts and learning what to do with all of this stuff for quite some time now. I have lived in some places that were pretty damn scary, and they were especially scary back before I was embracing my gifts and trying to figure out how to be productive when I was living, working in these spaces. And it can be incredibly traumatizing living in a haunted house or working in a haunted space. It can be, again, all those things that I spoke about with the questioning your, questioning your health, questioning your self-worth, questioning whether people will believe you. That often happens. That happens a lot for people who are living in these spaces, who maybe, they might have gifts, and they also are just living in a place that's very, very charged, and even people without gifts maybe are having these experiences. I choose to have a lighthearted approach. However, that doesn't mean that I treat these situations cavalierly. You've heard me say before that one of the best protective things that you can have, one of the best things you can do to protect yourself, is to have confidence, and also to remember, this is not something I've said before, but always remember that this world was made for the living. You have the upper hand simply because you are alive. And it takes a lot of energy for spirits to come into this world and make themselves known. And it doesn't take us much energy. I mean, sometimes it feels just like living and breathing takes a lot of energy, but hopefully you catch my drift. And so I also just want you to remember, so for both kind of groups of people, and those of you who are kind of maybe in between, I just want you to know, as we are prepared for our next set of exercises, where we are more proactively pursuing spirit communication, I want you to remember that you have the ability to be in charge. You have the ability to claim your space. You have the ability to feel safe in your home and in the spaces that you frequent, full stop. So we're going to talk more about how this is going to work, or how I experience this. I'm sure all mediums, there's a lot of similarities I've seen in how we work, but we're people, we all have little differences. I'll share with you what works for me. But for now, I just wanted to give you a good old-fashioned pep talk and just remind you again that I'm glad that you are here. And I know that this can be hard. And also, please have faith that you have the ability to have some control over the experiences that you have. And at the very least, I'll give you some tools throughout this challenge that will hopefully give you ways to, if you can't control the experiences all the time, you can better control your reactions to those experiences. So as always, I am so grateful that you are here. If you are interested in knowing more about what I do or interested in working with me, you can always go to my website, sterlingmoontarot.com. You can look into getting a mediumship session with me. I have in the blog, I've got a little discount code that's running through our challenge. I have a 6-week program called Modern Mediums that's going to be coming up in late October, early November. And I also have a weekend retreat called Beyond the Veil, where you get to really get in there and get some good practice. So that's going to be coming up in late September. Got some pretty cool announcements for folks that are maybe interested. And so stay tuned for those. And if you have any questions, any feedback, anything you want to share about what you're experiencing, go ahead and drop it in the comments here on the blog, or feel free to reach out to me directly. All right, I'm sending you all the best, and I'll see you in a few days.